Is Vania Fitrianti Herlambang, and I will be the moderator for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia as a nation has committed to tackle global climate change through NDC, or Nationally Determined Contribution, with a target of 29% to 41% emission reduction in 2030. In this case, FOLU, or forestry and other land uses, plays a significant role, which contribution is projected to be almost 60% of total emission reduction target. The Ministry of Environment and Forestry has just issued Ministerial Decree number 168, year 2022, about Indonesia's forestry and other land use, or FOLU NETSINK 2030, which covers operational plans to implement sustainable development principles through sustainable forest management, also environmental and carbon governance. There are 7 mitigation actions and cross-cutting actions, and today we would like to discuss about forest and land fire control, also peatlands management, as these two are potentially the biggest contributor in achieving FOLU NETSINK 2030. This event will be fully conducted in English, and we have an interpretation feature from English to Bahasa or vice versa to assist all participants today. As you can see on the lower right corner on your screen, there is a button for interpretation, and you can choose whether to translate from English to Bahasa by clicking China option, or from Bahasa to English by clicking English button. Before we start, I would like to explain our agenda for today. We will start by opening remarks from Insinyur Laksmi Dewanti, MA IPU, as the Director General of Climate Change. Following that, we will have a quick photo session with all of our panelists. And then there will be presentations coming from each of the 3 speakers, which will be followed by discussion or a Q&A session. You can ask through chat box in Zoom application with format name, institution, and to whom the questions is asked. Please feel free to ask whether in Bahasa or English. We truly appreciate your active participation here, so there will be a special prizes for 5 participants, which are GoPay voucher worth 100,000 rupiah each. Ladies and gentlemen, to start our agenda, I would like to invite Insinyur Laksmi Dewanti, MA IPU, as the Director General of Climate Change, to the stage to give an opening remarks. To Ibu Laksmi, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May mercy, peace, and blessing of Allah be upon us. Good morning and best wishes for all of us. Distinguished colleagues, Director of Inventory and Forest Resources Monitoring, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ibu Belinda Arunarwati Margono, Director of Peatland Degradation Control, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Ibu Sri Parwati Murwani Budi Susanti, my colleagues, Director of Forest and Land Fire Management, Bapak Basar Manulang, Profesor Dr. Lailan Shaufina, IPB University, ITTO Projects Manager, Dr. Juan Okma, and Dr. Tetra Yanuaryadi, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to extend my warmest greetings to all distinguished participants of this forest and land fire management and its potential contribution in achieving Indonesia FOLU NETSINK 2030 webinar. This webinar today is a part of series of webinar on forest and land fire, which supported by ITTO and Ministry of Environment and Forestry. The webinar series are to be served as a platform to share Indonesia FOLU NETSINK 2030 policies, provide feedback and recommendations to accelerate achievement of FOLU NETSINK 2030, particularly related to forest fire and pit management, and establishing a network for stakeholders related in land and forest fires. Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, climate change is one of the biggest challenges that humankind face today. Climate and forest and land fires are two phenomena which are very closely related. A prolonged dry season may trigger forest and land fire, and vice versa. Land and forest fire can contribute to the greenhouse gas emission, which lead to climate change. For the past decade, forest and land fire are threatening and occur almost every year in Indonesia. Learning from the worst fire disasters in 2015, the government of Indonesia, with support from all stakeholders, succeeded to suppress land and forest fire incidents in following years. That achievement can be made, one of them driven by President Jokowi's direction regarding corrective action and policy in fire management. The directions emphasizing fire prevention, enhancing community participation, and also intensifying synergy and coordination among stakeholders. Distinguished colleagues, participants, during COP26 UNFCCC, President Joko Widodo stated that the forestry and land sector in Indonesia will achieve FOLU NETSINK by 2030. Minister of Environment and Forestry has issued Ministerial Decree number 168 year 2022 concerning FOLU NETSINK 2030. This document, FOLU NETSINK 2030, will be used as a guidance to accelerate greenhouse gas emission from forests and other land use sector, which include greenhouse gas emission from land and or forest fire and peatland ecosystem management. Indonesia is optimistic to reach FOLU NETSINK 2030 because of, among others, significant performance in decreasing forest and land fires. In 2015, it was recorded 2.6 million hectares land and forest burned. And in 2021, it's decreasing more than 86.2% lower than 2015. Distinguished colleagues, participants, ladies and gentlemen, this year, Indonesia is holding G20 presidency. And in this occasion, I would like to recall Presidency G20 Indonesia's overarching theme, Recovers Together, Recover Stronger. As to reflect the theme, I believe this series of webinars is aligned and in line as well as support the theme, especially under one of priorities agenda on environment and climate sustainability related issues, namely enhance land and ocean-based action to support environmental protection and climate change objectives. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, finally, to close my remarks, I do hope that this and next coming webinars could contribute positively and provide significant recommendations and impact in forest and land fire management efforts, as well as peatland ecosystem management in Indonesia. I hereby declare the webinar series on forest and land fires open. I thank you and have a fruitful discussion. Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay happy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ibu Laksmi, for the opening remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite all speakers and also panelists for a quick photo session. So again, we would like to invite Ibu Laksmi, Bapak Basar Manulang, Dr. Juan Okma, Dr. Tetra Yanuariadi, Ibu Belinda, Ibu Ati, and also Professor Lailan. Please turn on your camera. Okay. Is everyone ready? Yeah. Again, for all panelists, kindly turn on your camera. Smile. The cue will be on me. So if everyone is ready, I will start counting from 1, 2, 3, smile. Awesome. Let's see, maybe we need once again, Bapak Ibu. So once again, give your best smile for today to give our spirit to this event. And I will count from 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, awesome. So to the team, are we already getting the photo? Okay, we are still waiting for confirmation from the team.
Yes, we have.
Okay. Thank you very much. So let's go on to the next agenda. It's the main agenda for today. I'm very honored and also excited to introduce you the distinguished speakers who are already here joining with us in today's program. For the first presenter, we have Ibu Belinda Arunarwati Margono, PhD, as the Director of Inventory and Forest Resources Monitoring, Ministry of Environment and Forestry. She is a geospatial scientist specialized in mapping land use and land cover dynamic. She was at first a technical NFI or National Forest Inventory staff and experienced in developing Indonesia's NFMS or National Forest Monitoring System from when the system was developed in 2000 and later adjusted to match the complex recent needs. Her interests focus on forest resource and vegetation monitoring, either at global or national scale. She is a member of Global Monitoring Researchers at Global Land Analysis Discovery, and she graduated from South Dakota State University, USA, taking a subject in geospatial science and engineering, and then PhD in University of Maryland, College Park, MD, USA, subject in majoring in geographical science. To Ibu Belinda, you will have 20 minutes for your presentation. Please welcome Ibu Belinda.
Thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear my voice.
Yeah, Ibu, it's clear.
Okay, fine. Yeah, thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is my great honor to present something related to the FOLU NETSINK 2030. So actually, I represent the colleague from Ministry, from DG of Planology and Governance. And can I just directly start the presentation by screen share from my own computer?
Yes, please, Bu.
Okay, thank you. Because that will be, okay, so I hope everybody can see the screen. So ladies and gentlemen, and all the participants of the meeting, I would like to have a presentation entitled Indonesia FOLU NETSINK 2030 for controlling the climate change. As a basic of this FOLU NETSINK, and it's already explained by the DG of climate change, Ibu Ami. There is already a regulation in Indonesia, Ministry Regulation number 168, related to FOLU NETSINK operational plan. So this is the legal basis of all the activity. So we can have a legal activity based on the regulation that is already stated here. The regulation itself actually has some attachment, but I probably will not explain one by one, but it's just recall for everybody that all this activity is already have the legal basis with kind of the detail about who's doing what and where. As a background, I don't of the global emission less than 2%.
Sorry, Bu Belinda, the sound is still mute.
I have two screen actually now, but everybody still can see my screen, right? This is just the background.
Yes, clear.
Oh, okay. This is just the background of the story about the commitment of Indonesia. So we, our president already stated in COP21 in Paris, and then is following by our ministry with a high-level ceremony in New York in 2016. So Indonesia commitment has been stated in our NDC. So we do have our national country NDC, and NDC is after we submit the NDC, the first NDC, we do have the roadmap of the NDC. That is actually for the internalization in the country itself. But following the situation, Indonesia has also updated our NDC. That was around July 2020. 2021, and following the commitment, Indonesia also have the try to follow to have the commitment even stronger with the document of LTS-LCCR 2050 following the updated NDC. This is actually the NDC. As everybody may be aware, Indonesian NDC actually have 5 sectors. There are 5 sectors here. There are 2 sectors actually contribute a lot. First is about forestry and land use, and the second is also about the energy. So following our NDC, seems like the land-based sector, especially the forestry and land use, has a kind of target from 29 up to 41% reduction of emission by 2030. But following all the sector that has been stated here, actually the land-based sector have more about 60% of emission reduction. This is the LTS-LCCR, just a background that actually we have a kind of three of scenario, but we use the very ambitious scenario, that is the LCCP, as our target too. So with the LCCP and also our NDC, we try to establish net FOLU sink by 2030. if we see this one, because our discussion is actually more about a forest fire, if we see our NDC with CM1, we can see that by 2050, actually, no, even by 2030, there is still emission from the forest that's showing our ambition. We can see that actually we already remove all the emission from the forest fire. With this one, actually the target of Indonesia by 2030, we will have at least level greenhouse emission of minus 140 billion ton CO2. Minus meaning that is already the absorption is already more than the emission itself. So that is the target. Objective, actually the release of the document of operational of NETFOLU is actually have 6 objectives. First is about strengthening the policy and work implementation, because we want directly work on the ground, and also try to establish an operational action plan. And the third is elaborating the NDC target into the detailed action plan, because if everybody aware that NDC is not easy to generated into a detailed plan. Sorry. Seems like I lost my screen. There is the view is. Excuse me. Hello. I cannot see my screen. It's directly okay, can I continue this? So the fourth is about affirming the main supporting activity for implementation and program activities, and also the preparation of the manual. So if we follow the NETFOLU document, actually there are a couple of activities that will be our main target, and there will be manual and how implement this. This is actually the scope of the document FOLU NETSINK 20 by 2030. So there are 15 part actually, but we can say that it's including reduction of deforestation, degradation, and the mineral land and the peatland, and also plantation, forest development, sustainable forest management, rehabilitation, either rotational and non-rotational, and peat restoration, mangrove rehabilitation, conservation of biodiversity, social forestry, development and consolidation of customary forests, and ecosystem replication, green open space, and eco-riparian, and supervision and law enforcement. That will be the scope of the FOLU NETSINK by 2030. There are FOLU NETSINK is actually follow some of corrective action that has been done in the Ministry of Forestry and Environment in order to reduce the emission. I will not talk about this later because I think the presentation can be seen later. But policy, there are a couple of policy and instrument that actually has been done. First is about the forest area preconditioning activities. So it actually is about forest demarcation. So the stability of the forest area itself. And the second is about maintaining the remaining natural forest. So we protect our natural forest. There are a couple of instruments, including indicative map of, we call usually moratorium, but actually it's not yet, it's not only the moratorium, but it's like the stop of giving a permission. And then the third is about encouraging the regeneration of degraded natural forests. The fourth is about efficiency of land use and optimization of unproductive land. The fifth is about acceleration of carbon sequestration activity. The sixth is about development of fiscal policy for the value sectors. It is related to the incentive and disincentive. The seventh is about law enforcement. And the eighth is actually about the database strengthening the activities. So the data is also the important part of FOLU NETSINK. This is the organization of the FOLU NETSINK itself. I probably will not explain this later, but actually there is already some arrangement within the ministry itself, because this activity is actually cross-section, cross echelon 1, so everybody work in the same direction with this arrangement. There are some activity, it's already explained also in the previous slide, but actually the focus is about reduction the emission from deforestation and forest degradation, establishing the plantation forests, sustainable forest management, forest rehabilitation, and peatland management. This is actually the core, and there will be some arrangement and who's doing what and how. There are we use the template actually in order to have the base of the operational plan of the FOLU. The template is actually the spatial map. We have like 3 kind of maps that actually we use for this. First is the map that is explaining about the emission, about the absorption, and also the fire. So fire is actually one of the input of this analysis. We use the historical fire that we already established data since year 2000. We use this to have the index. So this is one of the index actually related to the like land cover and so on. But this is the index explaining the ecosystem services. And then the third is about the typology of the arrangement, about the effect, who can work on the ground. This is actually the result of those 3 maps. So we use the spatial analysis. So all of the activity within this operational plan is actually ready on the spatial. So for instance, the green one is actually, that is the activity that actually will be focusing on pit management, water management. Or the pink one, the one that in the area of heart of Borneo, is actually something that related also to the maybe the reduce the real sea, and also the try to employ the forest management system in the area. This is some of the NDC target that actually we already have. There are 10 of activities. So this is not only the design about who's doing what, but it's also the some calculation. There are already some values about the target and so on that we have to achieve. This is the program. This is just one example. It's also ready and explained in the document itself. For instance, I will use one of the example. So the area manager of this one, first is the DG of PHL. There are area of concession and also non-concession. There are some concession in plantation and HPH and so on. And also on the restoration, ecosystem restoration. But there are already a number here. So there are already a target. For instance, there are some target of a reduced deforestation in the mineral land within the non-concession area. As about the first row here. And also there is also a target of enhancement of carbon stock. So everything is actually prepared already in the table, but the table maybe there is some narration also explain about how we're gonna achieve this one. This is about the next step. After we do have the planning, we have the operational plan. There is also some activity related to the control, related to funding, education, and there are some monitoring and evaluation that will be done later on to know that whether we already achieved the target or not. Some funding that are explained here. There are some from carbon market and also some non-carbon market, and also from result basement of the REDD Plus itself. This is the timeline, how we're going to achieve this one. Now it's all about the preparation, and then by 20 this year start also drafting all the manual, have the consolidation, socialization, and I think this one is on including the socialization, and also establishing the project management office itself. Next year up to 2024, there are some establishment of the information system development, not the new one, but maybe the combine of the existing system itself, the knowledge management, the incentive and disincentive policies, that is the most important, and also the capacity building. This is how we try to maintain parallel. Actually, in the same time, there is already a meeting and how we're going to achieve this one. And with this, I would like to end the presentation. Sorry for the time if I already exceed the time, but hopefully during the discussion, I can explain later on. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Ibu Belinda. Actually, we still have around like 10 minutes for the presentation, but we can discuss further in Q&A session. So that was the explanation on Indonesia's FOLU NETSINK 2030. And now we are going to look into the detail about peatland control and restoration. And here we have Insinyur Sri Parwati Murwani Budi Susanti MSc, or Ibu Ati, as the Director of Peatland Ecosystem and Degradation Control, Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Ibu Ati took her bachelor degree in agriculture at Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta in 1981 and continued her master degree in environmental management and policy at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Troy, New York State, USA. To Ibu Ati, you will have 20 minutes for your presentation. To Ibu Ati, the floor is yours.
Still mute, Ibu Ati.
Yeah, Bu Ati, you are still on mute.
Sorry, please allow me to unmute with the other computer. But okay, fine. We can use this computer to share our presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and also almost afternoon, depending on where you are right now. It is my pleasure for me to be here to share the protection and management of peatland ecosystem in Indonesia for FOLU NETSINK. Let me. Okay. If it is possible, we would like to share from my screen because there is a video that we would like to share to you. So hopefully it will be fine. Okay, let me change. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, we would like to introduce that Indonesia is the biggest tropical and is the home of the biggest peatland in the world, and the fourth biggest peatland in the world in tropic or subtropic. And this is Indonesia. The area of the peatland ecosystem is about 24.667 million hectares and consists of 865 PHU, peat hydrological unit, and become the largest tropical peatland, as I already mentioned before. It stores about 46 gigaton and almost 14% of CO2 storage from peatland. And the major problem of the peatland is the poor water management, the drainage, artificial drainage in the peatland area. And it causes a dry pit and also land subsidence. For the dry pit, it will cause land and forest fire, and also greenhouse gas emission reduction, and also the conventional pollution. And then for the land subsidence, it will cause the land depression. And both of problem will be contribution for the CO2 emission in the world. So this is the FOLU NETSINK, and where the peatland sustainable management in the forest, even peatland not only in the forest area. And several times, Ibu Belinda already mentioned regarding the important role of the sustainable peatland management in achieving the Indonesia FOLU NETSINK 2030. And this is the regulation for the FOLU NETSINK and related to the peatland protection and management. And this is focused on the milestone of the peatland protection and management. We have a lot of regulations since 1990, and then the newest government regulation is number 71 2014 junto number 57 2016 give a lot of direction and strengthen opportunity to give compliance and also enforcement of the peatland protection and management in Indonesia. So in peatland protection management, the basic concept is 3 points. The first one is bring and preserve water, bring back and preserve the revegetation, and also improve local community livelihood. Because 90% of peatland consists of water. So water is the main point that we have to manage, to governance in a sustainable manner. For the peatland restoration, the first priority, the first activity for bring back the water is canal blocking development, either in the community and also concession area, either also for the spillway, and also backfilling canal construction. And the second one is rehabilitation of vegetation in the area, that urban area of the peatland, degraded peatland in Indonesia. And then the third one is improve local community livelihood. It is very important to get the support for the community and direct involvement of the community to conduct the peatland protection and management in their area. Because in Indonesia, the utilization of peatland ecosystem mostly in the non-concession or in the community area. So regarding to the achievement until 2021, as a part of our support to achieve the target of FOLU NETSINK, the first one is the restoration from the concession holders. There are 72 for forest plantation, and also 242 from the palm oil plantation that already conduct for the peatland restoration. They have to develop the canal blocking construction in the artificial of canal that already been there to support their activities, drainate the water from the peatland, and so it is mandatory for them to conduct the canal blocking, and then they have to conduct the monitoring or groundwater level monitoring in their area, either in manual or in the continual monitoring, or what we call data logger. And they also develop the or put it the station of rainfall station, and there are already more than 10,000 units of the groundwater level monitoring across the concession area. And the data goes to our system in the SIMATAC system continuously or in real time. And this is the peatland protection management in terms of restoration in the concession, non-concession area, what we call in community area. We developed the program Desa Mandiri Betul Gambut. We already developed about 222 villages supported by the facilitator, university, and also local government. And we developed what we call TKPPEG, is the team for peatland protection and management in the village. Is institutional arrangement for the peatland protection and management in the community area. And the area that already achieved for the restoration at about 49,000 hectares. And for the in line with the community livelihood improvement, we conduct the revegetation, and also together with improve lively community livelihood, I mean, with the agroforestry, silvopestries, and also other related activity that sustainably friendly for peatland ecosystem. And this is the launching of the Center of Information that I already mentioned before. It is not only consists of the water level management, but also any other information that also able to be accessed by the community. This is the system that we already developed. We able to provide data related to the peatland quality index, water balance, and also, of course, the greenhouse gas emission reduction. This is SIMATAC. I already mentioned before that SIMATAC is the system to handle the water level monitoring in the concession holders. Currently, we still develop for the community area. And I already mentioned before, we have more than 10,000 water level monitoring station, either in manual or data logger. And also we have 868 unit rainfall monitoring station that easy for us to access this system. From this system, we can see, we can monitor the hotspot in the area, in the peatland area, especially in the concession holders or in the community area that already having intervention by the peatland protection and management. Currently, this is the up-to-date data from 15 and 31 March 2020. The hotspots exist in the outside PHU and also in the outside concession holders. And this is the spirit of hotspot, and compare with the level of groundwater level monitoring. We can see the purple color is wet or flooded, either in Riau, Jambi, South Sumatra, Bangka Belitung, and West Central, South Kalimantan, and East Kalimantan. And most of all, in the purple, green, and some of them in yellow. Yellow means exceeding the what we call standard for 0.4 meter under surface. So we give reminder to the concession holders to improve and also to manage their water level into less than 0.4. And this is from the system also we can overlay the data. We also overlay the data with the prediction of 5 days ahead, next 5 days for the drought, and also the prediction of the fire weather index. And this is the canal blocking that we already developed. Sorry, we would like to share. Yes. Okay, this is the location from the system that we can access the location of the canal blocking that we already developed, either in the concession holder or in the non-concession holder. So this is the monitoring in the field by BRGM, and this is the water level monitoring and our FDRS signboard in the community area that send us some data. This is the monitoring that conducted by the community. They send to the system every 2 weeks or B weeks update system. And in terms of the FOLU NETSINK and emission, greenhouse gas emission reduction, we already mentioned before that wetland have important role, not only the vegetation change, forest fire, but we also calculated from the elimination of land subsidence and groundwater level. In this today's session, we would like to share regarding on the water level monitoring and also water level management to support the greenhouse gas emission reduction. This is the methodology for the calculation, and this is the formula data gathered from the SIMATAC, and then we also check with the SIPONGI whether there is any hotspot or not. And this is the data, the baseline before. We got the data from the inventory of peatland characteristic, and then the right side after, it means the monitoring that updated for the community area, updated every 2 weeks, and for the concession holders, updated in real time. This is our calculation for the achievement of greenhouse gas emission reduction, either in the concession holders, industrial forest plantation, palm oil plantation, and also in the community land. It is a very, a big achievement, but we still have a challenge to get approval in terms of the methodology for the calculation of the green for the water level in terms of greenhouse gas emission reduction. And this is our achievement so far until today. And This is our plan until 2030 to support the net FOLU. We will what we call enhance or booster or make it faster the inventory of peatland ecosystem characteristic and determination of peat ecosystem function map scale until 2024 for the 885 PHU, either with national budget or with other support in a grant. And then second, determination of the provincial and regency of peatland protection and management plan as reference for the province and also regency based on the national plan for 2020 until 2049, and then a peat ecosystem quality index. There is a target until 2024. We have to achieve a 67.8, and restoration in the community area we have to achieve at least 500 and 500 villages, and also in the concession holders we have to achieve more than at least 500 concession holders, hopefully more, because currently we already achieved at 320 concession holders with the area 3.666 million hectare. So thank you very much. Hopefully it will be useful to get back visualization what we already done so far in terms of peatland protection and management to support the target achievement of FOLU NETSINK 2030. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bu Ati, for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind once again, if you have any question along the presentations, please feel free to drop your question on the chat box in the Zoom app with the format your name and then institution, and also to whom the question is addressed. And we have talked about peatland ecosystem, and we will go on to the next speaker. We already have Professor Dr. Lailan Shalvina. She is Professor in Forest Protection, Faculty of Forestry and Environment, Institut Pertanian Bogor. She is the resource person on forest and land fire-related policies to Ministry of Environment and Forestry from 2008 up until now. And Professor Lailan is the team leader of Manual Development of Forest and Land Fire Control for FOLU NETSINK 2030. She graduated from University Putra Malaysia, taking PhD in Faculty of Forestry. To Ibu Lailan, you will have 20 minutes for your presentation, and please welcome Professor Lailan.
Thank you, Vania. Can I use my screen?
Yeah, sure, Bu. You can share your screen.
Could you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Honorable Director General of Climate Change, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, Director of Forest and Land Fire Management, Project Managers of ITTO, Dr. Wan Okma and Dr. Tetra, the Directors, Ibu Belinda and Ibu Ati, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to thank the organizing committee for inviting me to share with you my knowledge and experience in this webinar. And especially for giving the ladies to be the speakers in the webinar. It is my great pleasure to be here, and in this opportunity I would like to share with you about forest and land fire management, the contribution to FOLU NETSINK 2030. The flow of my talk would be forest and land fire in Indonesia, FOLU NETSINK versus forest and land fire management, and the importance of forest and land fire management to achieve FOLU NETSINK 2030. As mentioned by the Director General this morning, that in the last 7 years, forest and land fire in Indonesia has been decreased significantly. The largest fire occurred in 2015, about 2.6 million hectares, and in 2019, about 1.6 million hectares. These fire occurrences were strongly influenced by El Nino phenomenon, which caused the long and extreme dry season in Indonesia. However, the decreasing burn area is also supported by the changing paradigm of the government, in this case, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, which prioritize fire prevention in fire management. At the same period, there is a shift of burn area to the eastern part of Indonesia, especially in Papua and West Papua. So it is required to consider this area for the future fire management. This is the fire risk map, shows various fire risk levels all over Indonesia. You can see all over Indonesia has fire occurrence with various risk levels. Talking about the causes of fire, almost 100% of forest and land fire causes in Indonesia is human factor, intentionally and unintentionally. Mostly due to land clearing with burning, which related to encroachment, illegal logging, and land use changes. This picture shows us burn area due to land clearing activities in Tesonilo National Park in Riau, which is related to forest encroachment. You can see here all the trees are cutting down and burned. And this picture indicates the land use change associated with fire. This is the common picture. And as mentioned also by Ibu Belinda, the director, that forest and land fire has been identified as unplanned deforestation. It is supported by Adrianto's study in Riau that during 1990 to 2017, the secondary peat swamp forest declined in area from 40,000 to 10,000 square kilometers, and plantations, including oil palm, increased from around 10,000 to 40,000 square kilometers. The dominant land use transition were secondary peat swamp forest, converting directly to plantation, or first to shrub and then to plantation. In Riau, it is found also that fire is closely connected to land cover change, and that the majority of fire is associated with the transition of secondary forest to shrub and plantation. We agree that no doubt that forest and land fire contribute to the carbon emission, including greenhouse gas emissions such as carbon dioxide, methane, N2O, and other gases like carbon monoxide, which is dangerous to our health, and more than 90 various trace gases. In this graph, we see that in the last 5 years, there is decreasing trend of carbon emission from forest and land fire, ranges from 24.6 million ton CO2 equivalent in 2017 to the highest 3.0 million CO2 equivalent. And this is the average carbon emission by province. It indicates that the highest emissions come from fire in Central Kalimantan is about 46.8 million tons CO2 equivalent, and followed by Rio Province, South Sumatra, and West Kalimantan. All these provinces has a large area of peatland. And as mentioned also by Director Ibu Ati, that there is a strong correlation with between forest and land fire with peatland area, because peatland is very susceptible to fire, especially when it is degraded. So we can see the analysis saw the strong positive correlation between peatland area and burn area, and this is the map where peatland area dominated in fire-prone area in Indonesia. And different from fire in non-peatland area, peatland fire is difficult to detect, difficult to suppress, and has great impacts to the ecosystem and environment. It is influenced by the occurrence of ground fire, which is dominated by smoldering process. Means that in peatland fire, not only above ground fuels consumed by fire, but also underground fuels consumed by the fire, which produce double emission compared to the non-peatland fire. Global fire emission database indicates that the 2015 fire occurrence in Indonesia contributes to almost 1.5 billion tons CO2 equivalent. And the study of Kili et al. Found that peatland fire contribute to 55% of total CO2 emission and 71% of particulate emission of PM 2.5. And based on the regulation of Ministry of Environment and Forestry in 2016, that forest and land fire management in Indonesia covers planning, prevention, suppression, post-fire activities, coordination, and fire alert status. And I think we all know that the ministry has very hard work in doing this forest and land fire management. From the previous speakers, we have learned that Indonesia has committed on the Paris Agreement and to limit the temperature increase not higher than 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2030 through the laws number 16, year 2016. And the NDC, Ibu Belinda has explained this very well. And also about the target in the NDC, I just would like to highlight that forest and land fire management could be the key for the successful FOLU NETSINK 2030. This table shows us the fire management. I took the data from the strategic plan of Directorate of Forest and Land Fire Management, Ministry of Environment and Forestry, that the reduction target of burn area for 2024 is 10% from the baseline in 2019. So if this target applied for 2030, the reduction target will be 22% from the 2019, as can be seen in this table. Similar calculation for emission reduction target also applied, but the actual 2021 that the burn area is about 358 hectares, the reduction of the burn area in 2021 is 78%. And for the emission reduction for the actual fire in 2021 is about 92.5% from the baseline. Therefore, in my opinion, that is also mentioned by the previous speakers, that Ministry of Environment and Forestry need to have corrective action and consider and recalculate the burn area target for the next round strategic plan, especially to achieve FOLU NETSINK 2030. Though there is extreme weather factor or affected fire occurrence in 2019, but it is such an excellent progress, right? So we need to congratulate the Director of Forest and then Fire Management of Ministry of Environment and Forestry and the team for this achievement, this excellent achievement, and hopefully this excellent achievement will be followed by the better achievement in the future, especially in achieving FOLU NETSINK 2030. So from the previous slides, we can assume that the importance of forest and then fire management to achieve FOLU NETSINK 2030, that forest and then fire contribute important greenhouse gases emission nationally and globally. And peatland fires contribute higher greenhouse gas emission compared to non-peatland fire, as the fuel in peatland fires consists of underground fuels as well as above ground fuels. So double type of fuels consumed in peatland fires. And changing paradigm on forest and then fire management to prioritize fire prevention has significantly reduced greenhouse gas emission. So this is the right track, on the right track of the ministry to implement the policy and also the practices in land fire management, forest and land fire management in the future. And of course, as we saw in the last presentation, that there are many efforts have been done to reduce this emission, especially in forest area and also in peatland area. And multi-stakeholder partnership approach, integrated technological innovation and social approach, research-based policy, and peer learning from good practices need to be implemented if forest and land fire management is a must. As a closing remarks, that forest and land fire management has significant contribution to the reduction of carbon emission from FOLU sector to achieve FOLU NETSINK 2030, and strengthening the institution role and multi-stakeholders partnership with strong budget allocation support in national level and regional or site levels is the key strategy for the successful forest and then fire management. So with this, I would like to thanks to all of you for your kind attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Lailan, for your presentation. We already seen there's a lot of questions coming from the chat box from the participants, and we already selected several questions that will be answered. So I would like to invite again to all speakers, to Ibu Belinda, Ibu Ati, and also Professor Lailan to the stage for this Q&A session. So for the first question, I would like to address to Ibu Belinda first. The question is from Yuriko Bahri from IPB. So pertanyaannya adalah if we see the climate change in the world, it's very affecting to the ecosystem, to the environment, especially on the regeneration on land and forest regeneration. So with the NDC and also the pact that that is conducted by Minister of Environment and Forestry with the world. So how's the impact that is how's the impact on the agreement to see that the conversion of forest in Indonesia that is conducted largely in current days. So the land of the forest many is reduced now in Indonesia, and other than that, with the agreement, the absorption and also selling of the carbon gas from the land and forest reproduction, how's the income or the benefit that is Indonesia getting in this global climate change or global climate equilibrium? So to Ibu Belinda, please give your answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the question. So I will not repeat the question, but seems like Yuriko Bahri want to know how it is related, since some data showing about the condition. But I think I have to remind all the participants, if they use, please also use the data that always updated, because if we follow all the data that has been released officially by the government also, and also some from some research, that actually the deforestation of Indonesia has been reduced significantly, and even last year it was the lowest deforestation rate that we ever achieved so far. So there are already some improvement that actually can be seen. How it's actually affected? First, try use always the official data, and how the government can say this, because actually the government has the official system that actually can prepare the or giving the information significantly and consistently every year. So the deforestation of Indonesia is actually always provided every year. Just follow the information official from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and how it is related with the commitment. The commitment, actually, the one that I show related to the NDC commitment and also the long-term strategy commitment, the LTS commitment, even show how serious the government of Indonesia in combating the climate change. Since we know, Indonesia know that it's already some emission due to some deforestation in the past also. If we don't do anything, there will be more emission from the forest and land use. So that the government of Indonesia make the commitment that that will be some value target that have to be achieved from the forest and land use sector. So I think we can say that this is a good thing, because there is already some commitment about this. And related also to the deforestation data in the Indonesia, I think the official one is about 115 million hectare per year. That is the data last year, and the new one will be released very soon too. And that is actually even lower than targeted in the NDC, because in the NDC, the target is actually still about 300 something. But I think the government of Indonesia even tried to push it even lower than the NDC itself. That show also the serious of our government. And also notice that the area of forest, not the forest land, but the forested area. The forested area of Indonesia for the time being, based on the data, is about 95 million hectares. That is more than 50% of the Indonesian land. So that is actually the data that have to be noticed about that one. So I hope this can answer the Yuriko Bakri question. And then, Mbak Fania, can I move to the next question, or maybe you want to read the other question, because I also make a notification on my note also related. Oh, okay, this is about Pak Hikman. About the scope of FOLU NETSINK. Okay, so this is about the pelepasan kawasan hutan on the project strategies national. I think there is already some clear explanation that there are some target already. If we see on the document of the FOLU NETSINK, there are deforestation that some has still be accepted. That is the planned deforestation and also the unplanned deforestation. The planned deforestation that is sometimes is also because of the forest management system, and also some arrangement related to the Indonesian condition. As everybody aware, we are still developing country, almost becoming developed country. So there are, and we have our population is about 250 million people, and our land is about 187 million hectare. So meaning that the Indonesia need to still build the country. So there is that is the policy that we don't have. We will not take the zero deforestation as a policy, but we will take the net zero deforestation or net zero emission, meaning that there are still some deforestation can be accepted. That is what we call it planned deforestation. But in order to make the balance with the emission, we try to have some absorption or a plantation to make it a balance. So that is the situation. So I would say that the one that following the Permen LHK nomor 7, there will still match or fit with the plan under the FOLU NETSINK 20/30 with the plan and the unplanned deforestation. And the forest fire mostly is unplanned deforestation. So if we can reduce the fire, that will be really helpful for the country. So meaning all the deforestation is only within the planned deforestation, the one that actually the government can maintain so far. Is that okay, Mbak Fanya?
Bu Belinda, thank you for the answer for second question. Actually, there's still another question, Bu, from ITTO.
Okay.
Yeah. So the question is from Bapak Tetra from ITTO to Ibu Belinda.
Okay.
How the Ministry of Environment and Forestry prepares or collects data on forest and land fire in timely manner with high accuracy?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Teta, for this question. I'm really happy to have this question, because I think this will be our opportunity also for us to explain how we are very serious to prepare all the data on the forest fire. Actually, due to our bad experience in 2015 with the very huge fire that we already have in the past in 2015. The government start to have the annual data for the forest fire for the entire country. So we have we established the methodology. We established the team that actually always prepare the forest fire data set for this. We use the remote sensing data. It was only the Landsat in the beginning, But then we also use some data, additional data like the Sentinel data and also the spot data to produce the information on the forest fire. It was yearly, but I think for the last 2 years, we make also monthly. So every month, actually, there is already a group. We already have the a methodology to work with that. So the group of people that actually our team that work every month to produce the area of burn scar for every month for the whole of the country. We report this monthly and also annually to the president from the Directorate of Forest Fire Controlling. And this actually the information, the monthly information will be updated also becoming a yearly information. So we already have the set of the data from year of 2015 up to now, and that will be updated also yearly. And also we have prepared also the historical data that actually we use the methodology of the 2015, but we try to make it even older than 2015. So we prepare also the set of the data of forest fire of Indonesia since year 2000. That is also the information that we need to make it ready to report to the UNFCCC and also to prepare Indonesia for the result-based payment under the REDD+. I hope this answers the question of Dr. Tetra.
Interesting, Bu Belinda. Thank you very much. I heard from the team that you need to leave as soon, Ibu.
Yes.
For the next agenda. Thank you very much for the insight, Bu, and also the discussion. Thank you, Bu Belinda. So if you want to leave, please feel free to do so, Bu Belinda. Thank you very much once again.
Yeah. Thank you, Fania, and thank you for the participant and all the speaker. Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, so we can move on into the next questions. Maybe from the committee, from the host, please present the question. So the next question is from Bapak Kusnadi Singkawang, dari Singkawang. The question is, in improving the quality of peatlands, what efforts have been made by the government, especially in emphasizing companies that have very large lands, especially peatlands, so that they are not carried out by burning? Is there actually any sanction for large companies like this when they burn land intentionally, especially on peatlands? And this question is directed to Ibu Bu Ati. Silahkan, Ibu Ati. I think you are still on mute, Bu Ati. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much for the question, Pak Kurnia. You can hear my voice?
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Okay.
But
sorry for this. Sorry. Regarding to the what we have to do to preserve, to conduct the peatland protection and management based on the government regulation number 71 2014 Junto government regulation 2016. The PHU, if we discuss or talk about a peatland ecosystem, so we have to base to the peat hydrological unit. As I already mentioned before, that there are 865 PHU, peat hydrological unit in Indonesia, and 70% under non-concession holder utilization, including the community utilization or the community area. and the remaining is in the concession holders. And based on that government regulation, the two government regulation, there is mandatory for everyone, including the concession holders, that having activity or utilize the peatland either in the what we call in the PHU, we divide it into two functions. The first one is the conservation function, and the second one in the cultivation function. For the first one, you have to conserve. There are very detailed direction from the government regulation, and for the cultivation function, we able to conduct agriculture activities, but there is direction also for everyone that utilize the peatland in the cultivation area. So based on that, in terms of they follow the direction from the government regulation and also the operational direction of the ministerial decree, for example, ministerial decree number 14, 2017 regarding on the inventory of peatland characteristic, and also ministerial decree number 15 and 16 regarding on the restoration for the degraded peatland in their area. We will monitor and doing inspection and also conduct the law enforcement to those not comply with that regulation. And then, as you mentioned, that if there is any burn area in the peatland area, so the Directorate General for the compliance and law enforcement will conduct the surveillance and investigation for the law enforcement. And I already mentioned in the presentation, there are more than 300 concession holders that already conduct the restoration in the peatland area to meet the mandatory or the direction from the government regulation and also the ministerial decree number 1627. The basic of the restoration, if of course, bring back the water, to develop the canal blocking, and also monitoring for water level, conduct the revegetation, rehabilitation, and also natural succession, and monitor the water level management in the area of either in the conservation function and also the cultivation function. That some of them we already present in the presentation session. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Ati. So still there will be a sanction, ya Bu, for the
yes, sure.
that cross the regulation. So tetap akan ada hukuman tentunya bagi yang melanggar peraturan seperti itu. Tadi untuk penanyanya sudah terjawab ya, mudah-mudahan.
There are 3 sanctions. The first one is administration sanction to conduct the restoration, and the second one the civil sanction, and the last one is the criminal sanction.
Okay, thank you, Bu Ati. And then this is another question for you, Ibu.
Yeah.
This is from Aprian Rizky terkait dengan lahan gambut beserta ekosistem yang berada di wilayah Indonesia. Dilakukan pembukaan baik oleh pihak perusahaan yang belum tersertifikasi prinsip-prinsip NDPI maupun masyarakat lokal yang tentunya menjadi salah satu mata pencaharian mereka. Salah satunya paling banyak adalah kelapa sawit. So it's about ini ya Bu ya, the change of the land from peatland for the local community to make kebun kelapa sawit seperti itu. Dan apalagi pada hari-akhir ini harga TBS kelapa sawit cukup menguat tinggi sehingga areal tersebut, areal gambut mulai banyak terdegradasi dan tutupan lahan mulai beralih untuk tanaman tersebut. Bagaimana solusi dari hal tersebut sehingga tutupan areal gambut terus terjaga dan masyarakat pemilik lahan dapat memaksimalkan arealnya secara penuh sebagai mata pencaharian mereka, seperti itu Bu. So it's about talking about how to balance the needs from the local community to cultivate the area, and then with the protection of the peatland ecosystem itself, Bu Ati.
Yes, thank you very much, Ibu Apriani, for the questions. Yes, indeed, this is most common question. So we have to back to the government regulation number 71 to 2014, article number 23. As I already mentioned before, that the peatland ecosystem divided into two characteristics. The first one is the cultivation function, and the second one is in the conservation function. As long as the location is in the cultivation function, the activities for agriculture can be conducted, but have to follow several directions. Among other is control the water level not more than 40 centimeters below surface of peatland, and also avoid what we call the exposure of peat in the area, not open the artificial canal, because this is mandatory, not allowed for everyone to open new artificial canal. Sorry. So for the conservation area, should be follow the direction, the implementation or utilization of the conservation area. According to the regulation, the government regulation, it is allowed for the conservation area being utilized as long as for ecotourism, research, education, and also other activities depend on the updated technology. And for the cultivation function, what tanaman ya, budidaya, agriculture that community can implement in the cultivation area. The community can conduct the agriculture as long as meet the requirement in the cultivation area, as I already mentioned before. So thank you very much. Hopefully answer Ibu Apriani question.
Thank you very much, Bu Ati, for your answer. And here we go to the next question. This is for Professor Lailan from Bapak Junaidin dari Makassar. Yang pertama, there's two questions actually. So the first, apakah ada perhitungan tentang seberapa cepat hutan yang telah terbakar dapat pulih kembali? Karena kecepatan pemulihan hutan yang telah terbakar akan berpengaruh signifikan terhadap target penurunan emisi dari sektor kehutanan dan penggunaan lahan. Terkait dengan, so Professor Lailan, this is about, is there any calculation of the speed, how quickly the forest that was deforested or burned down can be reforest again, Professor Lailan?
Yeah, thank you, Fania. Thank you, Pak Junaidin from Makassar. This is very good question. Yes, we can calculate how fast the recovery of the burn area. As we living in tropical area, so we have much rainfall. Yeah. So it is very fast. What is recovery from the burn area? Yeah. For example, last week I went to South Sumatra, and we found that the burn area got fire in last January, but we came in March. So we found that all the burn area has been covered by vegetation. The problem is what kind of vegetation grow on the burn area. If it is only shrub or bush, so the sequestration is of course smaller compared to the trees. So I think there are some research doing this calculation of the recovery of the burn area. But again, the problem is what kind of vegetation grow in the burn area, and compared to the other temperate region, for example, the tropical region has faster in recovery, the vegetation recovery. That's I think that's my answer to Pak Junaidin. And then for the second question from Ibu Adriana, how's the effort to reduce or to reach the target emission reduction for 2030? I think from the forest and land fire management view, that as I saw you in the presentation, that we are on the right track of the forest and land fire management coordinated by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry. And I think we can continue these efforts. And of course, forest and land fire management cannot be done by single institution or single actor. So all the stakeholders need to be together to manage the fire. That's why the term is not Directorate of Forest and Land Fire Control, but Directorate of Forest and Land Fire Management. So in this management, of course, not only suppression, but also prevention and post-fire activities and so on. So the multi-stakeholder partnership is very important to handle, to manage this fire problem. And as also we saw from the presentation from all the speakers, that emission from forest and land fire is very high, especially from peatland fires, which is double compared to the non-peatland fires. So the achievement or achieving of NDC target in 2030 need to be enhanced by managing forest and land fire. It is very strategic to in reducing the emission. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer, Professor Lailan. So actually there is an additional answer from Ibu Belinda regarding Bapak Junaidin's question about how fast the recovery of the burned forest. So the answer is ini tergantung wilayahnya juga. It's depend on the area. Kalau dari CS biasanya areal bekas terbakar cepat pulih. If from CS, usually the area that was burned down is quickly recovered or vegetated, except the peatland. And then so yang kita perlu lakukan harusnya adalah menjaga agar pemulihan ini bisa dilakukan secara alami. So we can help to make the recovery done naturally, and then we can also intervene as well if needed. So that's additional answer from Ibu B terhadap to Bapak Junaidin's question. And this is another question to Professor Lailan. It's from Dr. Ma from ITTO regarding the reduction target from fire management. Target 2030 indicates around 1.2 million hectare of burn areas, which is around 78% reduction compared to 2021. And in this target, is there any consideration on an increasing temperature trend? And he said thank you to the DG and of CC and also to all speakers for the presentations. Silakan Bu Laila.
Thank you, Dr. Ma, for the very critical question. And I think in the table for the target for the 2030, this is based on the targeted from the baseline of 2019, which is the largest forest fire occurred in the last 5 years, and it is strongly influenced by El Nino. However, in 2021, we saw that the burn area has been decreased significantly by 78%. So for the target of 2030, need to have corrective action. In this case, the Directorate of Forest and Land Fire Management need to consider this situation because they are much decreasing in 2021. So I think the Directorate need to recalculate the target for the 2030. And of course, this target of 2030 will be connected to the temperature, yeah, because as we all know that there is a positive correlation between the CO2 emission with the temperature. The increase of the CO2 emission, the increase of the temperature. So by decreasing this fire emission, of course, will be maintain the. I think will be limit the temperature not higher than 1.5 degrees Celsius. In increase by 2030. Hopefully, will be not higher than 1.5 degrees Celsius. Of course, it will not be decrease the temperature because we are now in the global climate change already in global climate change. So the temperature will be increased, but by our efforts to reduce the emission, the increasing will be in slow motion, will be increased gradually, not significantly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Lailan, for the answer. And then, okay, so I think there's another question to Ibu Ati here. The question is from Shalwani Hermanida dari IPB. Oke, baik. Oke, izin bertanya, seperti diketahui bahwa restorasi lahan gambut mencegah kebakaran hutan dan lahan. Agar upaya tersebut dapat terlaksana secara efektif, mengingat lahan gambut di Indonesia cukup luas, bagaimana upaya yang dilakukan pemerintah dan kontribusi masyarakat dalam menjalankan upaya ini? Dan selain itu, apakah upaya restorasi lahan gambut telah terlaksana baik di Indonesia dalam mencegah karhutla, dan apakah terdapat kendala dalam melaksanakannya? So, the question is, what's the effort from the government and contribution from the people in conducting and protecting the peatland ecosystem, and is it conducted very well in Indonesia to avoid forest and land fire by protecting the peatlands? Silakan, Ibu Ati.
Thank you very much for the question, Ibu Shalwani Hermanida from IDB. Yes, peatland protection and management have been conducted in Indonesia and achieved very well done, because Indonesia is the front runner in terms of peatland protection and management. As mentioned by several experts from Germany and in several session, international webinar or international seminar, that Indonesia mentioned, not by me, by expert, is already achieved 20 times that have been achieved by Germany and also by UK in terms of peatland protection and management. And in terms of monitoring, for what we have done so far in the peatland protection and management, we already developed SIMATAC, as I already mentioned before, to ensure the water level in the peatland ecosystem not open opportunity to have fire as long as the ecosystem is wet. So the water level is monitored day by day, continual, and not only by the system from data in the field, but we also integrated with the Sentinel satellite imagery to confirm whether the data from the field is fabricated or not fabricated. And the other related to the community, what is the community contribution? We develop what we call Desa Mandiri Peduli Gambut, self-sufficient villages to direct involve in the peatland protection and management. We already conduct more than 236 currently until now. Until the end of 2020, we already conduct about 222 villages in 9 provinces, and of course more than I forgot the number of the district. We together with local university, for example, Universitas Palangkaraya, we conduct the peatland development of the Desa Mandiri Peduli Gambut in the Central Kalimantan at about for 55 villages. And in the, for example, in the North Sumatra, Aceh, and several others provinces. These activities conducted not only by national budget, but also supported by a grant. For example, the GEF 6, GEF 5, GEF 7, and GEF 3 and 4. And of course, bilateral collaboration, for example, with Germany under GIZ and several others. And we work together with local community, with local university to develop facilitators that come from the villages. And then the facilitator with supervise with together with the community to develop the institutional for peatland protection and management, what we call TKPPEG, Tim Kerja Desa Mandiri Peduli, Tim Kerja Perlindungan dan Pengelolaan Ekosistem Gambut. And then this institutional together with facilitator will identify what the problem of the peatland ecosystem in their area, and then also develop mapping and propose several activities for restoration. And the plan of what we call RKM, Rencana Kerja Masyarakat for Peatland Protection and Management, will be supported by the national budget from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and also for the grant and also other sources, for example, for the private sectors. And then they develop the rewetting, tunnel blocking, revegetation, and also develop several economic activity to improve their livelihood. For example, conduct the agro silvofisheries and plant pineapple, sagu, or other that come from the ecosystem, peatland ecosystem. So in sustainable manner for the peatland ecosystem. And then we also train them how to make the product. For example, pineapple, not sell in a pineapple only, but we train to what we call pineapple jelly, pineapple cracker, and so on. And also develop several handicraft from the pineapple leaf. So everything can be sell not only in their area, but also sell in the other province. For example, in Kalimantan Tengah, one of the TKPPEG having activity to develop what we call handicraft from rotan, and then they sell into Bali, Denpasar, Sukawati market, and then repeat order, and then this improve their income for the community. This is the example. So it is not only for doing peatland protection and management, but we also improve their community livelihood, so they able to independently as kepanjangan tangan kita gitu ya, our other hand in the field to conduct the peatland protection and management. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ibu. This is very interesting, Ibu, about empowering the local communities. And this is going to be the last question for Professor Lailan. Pertanyaannya, Ibu, sebagaimana kita ketahui faktor antropogenik menjadi penyebab terbesar terjadinya kebakaran hutan dan lahan di Indonesia. Apakah tantangan dan pendekatan yang harus dilakukan untuk menyelesaikan permasalahan faktor antropogenik tersebut, dan bagaimana pengaruhnya terhadap pencapaian target FOLU NETSINK 2030 baik secara langsung maupun tidak langsung. So this question is about the impact of anthropogenic factor on the main cause of the forest and land fire in Indonesia, and how we can approach this. Thank you. Silakan Ibu Lailan.
Thank you, Pak Irfan, for very long question. I think we need more discuss about this. Yes, I agree with you that almost 100% of fire causes in Indonesia is human factors. That's why efforts for human for the anthropogenic factors is need to be prioritized. So the challenge, of course, we have the challenge for this anthropogenic because so far our community in the field still use the fire for the land preparation because they have opinion that fire is the cheapest and the simplest way to clear the land. So in this case, the multi-stakeholder partnership need to be implemented. I mean that all the stakeholders, including the government, the private sectors, the academician, the NGO, and the community itself need to be work together to solve this problem. Because, for example, for the local community, they have no money for clearing their land, so the government or the local government or the private sectors can support them to clear the land by zero burning techniques, yeah, for example, like that. So of course this is very important keys to achieve the FOLU NETSINK 2030 target. So I think in the future the forest and land fire management need to be focused on this anthropogenic factors because only 1% of fire causes in Indonesia is natural factors. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Lailan, for the answer. So actually that question marks the end of our discussion, ladies and gentlemen. So maybe we can refresh a bit from our discussion today that as Bu Belinda has delivered about FOLU NETSINK 2030, that we have the target that even more absorption of the CO2 than the emission, about 140 million ton CO2, and there are already strategies and core of mitigation that will be planned for this in the future to achieve the FOLU NETSINK 2030. And then also from Ibu Ati, we learned about the peatland protection and management. It's three important pillars if we talk about the peatland protection and management, that are water rehab with canal blocking, and also vegetation, and also the local community empowerment to improve their livelihoods, as Ibu Ati said. And there's already a platform, Simata, that helps to monitor the water level in the peatland area. And then from Professor Lailan, we already heard about the forest protection and how this can help to achieve Indonesia FOLU NETSINK 2030. As we know that the large peatland can also lead to forest fire. They are highly related, so it's important to protect them. And in 2015, we saw the highest forest fire recorded in Indonesia. And then with the government efforts through policy and strategies, we have seen significantly reduced forest fire along the years. So we will continue to implement and also to achieve the FOLU NETSINK 2030. And we would like again to give our higher appreciation to all of our speakers, to Ibu Belinda, to Ibu Ati, and also Professor Lailan for such a fruitful and also insightful discussion today. Thank you very much, Ibu. It's been amazing, Bu. And also thank you so much to all participants who have actively involved today. And for the winner of the GoPay or OVO voucher from the participant, we will contact you. Our committee will contact you directly to give the GoPay or OVO voucher. And don't forget that we will still have more webinar series ahead. And next up is on Tuesday, 19 April 2022. It's about community-based forest fire management. So I'm Fania Fitrianti Herlambang. Once again, Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Great job. Thank you everyone.
Bu Ati.
Thank you, Bu Ati, Prof. Lailan. Thank you so much.
Bu Ari.
Thank you, Prof. Lailan. Bu Belinda is already
Ya, thank you.
Terima kasih Fania, terima kasih narasumber semua.
Terima
Terima
kasih.
Terima kasih semua.